Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the tier list video with myself, Jack Reeve, Talk Norwich City. If you missed part 1, you've missed a lot of the video. So maybe go back there first and watch that, or watch this first and then go back today. You would have just missed my reasoning. So this is where we got to in part 1. Thanks for the 300 likes. I really do appreciate it. We've got this so far. So we've got Mickey McGovern and Duda in the must improve category. Tim Close because he's been injured, and Zimmerman in the does a job. I think I've been really harsh on Zimmerman there, but you know, don't hurt me, Christoph. I've sat on a dinner table with Christoph Zimmerman and he is huge. He would batter me, so apologies, Christoph. In the decent category, we've got Sam Byron, Ben Godfrey and Jamal. And then in the hell of a player category, we've got Tim Krul, Max Aarons, Grant Hanley, Emi Buendia, and Kenny McLean. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players left. Where would you put them? Let me know in the comments section below. Let's start with Norwich Lightner. Norwich Lightner for me is going in this bottom category with Michael McGovern and Duda. I don't think it's necessarily all Lightner's fault. I don't think Farke has really ever known how to fit Lightner into the team. He's been marvellous on occasions. There were times last season when he just orchestrated the midfield wonderfully well. We haven't seen that consistency from Norwich Lightner that I would have probably liked to have done. So he's going in there. I have seen some people band about, is it an attitude problem that he hasn't been making the squad? I'm always slightly tentative to say it's an attitude problem because we just don't know what's going on in personal lives, behind the scenes. We can only go what we've seen this season. And on the pitch, he hasn't been good enough. And that is probably why Farke hasn't been starting him. So he's going in the must improve, as well as Lucas Rupp. I don't get this signing, to be honest. I haven't seen enough from Rupp to warrant why we brought him. It seems to me that this is preparing for the Championship signing. If we desperately wanted to remain in the Premier League, I don't think Lucas Rupp was going to be on the top of the transfer list. So unfortunately, he goes in that bottom category with Marco Stiepermann. Wow, I'm being harsh here. Marco, let me explain myself here before all the Marco fanboys get in the comments and start leaving dislikes. I think the reason why we haven't succeeded this season is because of the exclusion of Marco Stiepermann. He was so important to the way we played football last season. Pressing from the front, very, very good at driving with the ball, and he was that link in between the midfield and the strike force. Chipped in with a lot of goals as well, don't forget. Not being able to find him a position in the Premier League side this season has really cost us. And I've only put him in the must improve category because he hasn't played enough football. However, I think if we had have found the position that suited Marco and sculpted him into this side, I think he would have been up there, in them top categories. It's been unfortunate for Marco. It really has. Onel Hernandez is up next. Where should we put him? I'm going to put Onel in the does a job category. Love Onel. A really exciting player to watch. I think I've said it a lot of times. I don't think we've had a player like Onel since Darren Huckabee, the type who will run at players, get you on the edge of your seat. However, it's his end product with Onel that maybe doesn't cut it at a Premier League level. And I think I said that in the summer before this season started. And I said, look, I love Onel. We filmed the podcast with him. He's a great guy. But I don't know if the end product's there. He gets past players, he gets in good positions, the assists and the goals maybe haven't been there. I mean, it doesn't help that he, what did he fall down the stairs or something? That doesn't help. Injuries, have hampered us this season. But he's going in there. Next up, Alex Tettey. I'm going to put Tettey in hell of a player because I cannot believe he's still going. And he's going great guns, isn't he, Mr. Tettey? He's been really good for us this season. He's shored up the midfield when we desperately needed it to be that way. And he's always relied on throughout the last, 9 years has he been here? 8 years. Every single manager has always relied on Alex Tettey to do a job. And that sums up Alex Tettey. Reliable, consistent, maybe hasn't got the legs that some midfielders do. but he's always in there. He's always willing to put himself about, and he's been very good this season. I know that Alex Tettey isn't everyone's favourite player. I know he's not, the best passer of the ball. I know he doesn't score the most amount of goals. I know he doesn't assist many. But, defensively, he's pretty solid, and it's probably one of the best in that area for us. Up next is Todd Cantwell. And you know what? Toddy Cantwell is going to be the first player in the icon category. He is. His step up to the Premier League has been almost perfect. He was good last season, don't get me wrong. He didn't score as many goals as he would have liked and supporters would have liked, and I don't think he chipped in with enough assists. I questioned whether he was going to be able to make that step up to the Premier League, and boy has he made that step up. And he's got that charisma. He's got everything that you want from a football player. Very marketable, that surfing celebration. He's got the hair. He's just the perfect footballer in that sense. And he's also delivered on the pitch. Goals, assists, his defensive work has improved massively. And I know Farke really wanted him to work on that area of his game. So in terms of improvement, in terms of exceeding expectations, in terms of probably being our best player this season, Todd Cantwell, for me, is the first player in that Dennis Shrabeni icon category because, well, he's been marvellous, and he's probably going to be another player who, if we are going to sell, is going to cost whoever buys him a hell of a lot of money. Tom Tribal up next. You know what? I've been slightly underwhelmed with Tom Tribal this season. I thought he was going to have more of an impact, much like Norwich Lightner. For whatever reason, it just hasn't quite happened for him. I'm going to put him in the does a job category because I think he's a really good player. I mean, the performance he put in last season against Leeds was probably one of the best individual performances I've seen from a Norwich City player in my lifetime. It was faultless. But I'm only basing it off of this season's performances, and I'm not overly sure that Tom Tribal will be impressed with his own performances. I think, again, Farke has maybe struggled with that midfield area to get it quite right. And I think, consequently, Tom Tribal has probably suffered in performance levels because of that. Mario Vrancic, I feel like this, part 2 of this video has just been me moaning about players that should have probably featured more. But I don't think there's a player who should have featured more than this man, Mario Vrancic. I mean, for a player, he chipped in so many goals last season. I can always remember the first few times he played at Carrow Road, I looked at him and thought, oh my, what have we got ourselves into with this bloke? He was slow, he was lethargic, he just kind of waltzed about the pitch. And he still does that to a certain degree, but he does it with such class. I love watching Mario Vrancic, and he's one of the players who I got so wrong when we first signed him. I think he's a really majestic talent and one who fired us to the title last season. And I think not having him in the squad has really hampered us this season. So I'm going to put Mario in decent, actually, because I think on his day he's one of our better players, and it's criminal that he hasn't played as much as he has done this season. Even just looking at them lovely eyebrows makes me happy. Okay, on to the strike force then, and it's depleted, isn't it, our strike force? We haven't got too much in terms of power up front, but Teemu Pukki is a man that is taken to the Premier League like duck to water. He's going in the icon category. I mean, the start to his season was faultless. He was just scoring goals for fun. The hat-trick against Newcastle was lovely. That goal on the opening day at Anfield was also lovely, and he's just scored so many goals this season. I mean, he was firing at like 2 goals a game at one point for the first kind of 5 games of the season. He's faltered slightly since then. Let's not forget, this man has had a masses of football to play, scoring goals regularly for Finland, basically our only recognisable striker to carry us through the Premier League. Look, he's missed chances. There have been chances created for him that he maybe hasn't put away. I put that down to tiredness. I put that down to just natural wear and tear on the body. We need another really classy striker at the football club, and I'm not sure if we've got that quite yet, which is unfortunate. Teemu Pukki, though, for me, look, he's an icon. He's been brilliant. He's one of the most natural goal scorers I've seen at Norwich. His goals to game ratio is frighteningly good. He's brilliant. He's really brilliant. So Teemu's going in the icon category. Adam Eider, now I've put him in there solely for that FA Cup game that we saw him play against Preston. He's going in decent, you know. Adam Eider looks a player, looks a real player. Started for us against Manchester United, let's not forget, at Old Trafford. Imagine that, Adam Eider. What a day for the young lad. That hat-trick against Preston was good, and it came at a time that really, you know, buoyed our morale, I think. It kept us going through a fairly turgid period in the season. That seems a lifetime ago, doesn't it? But yeah, Adam Eider goes in decent. I think he's a very hot prospect. He's got that, you know, the frame, big lad, strong lad, good in the air, good on the floor. Can't really ask for much more than that. A really hot prospect. He's going in decent. And then, you know, big Jojo, Josip Drmic, probably goes in the icon category for music production. I mean, No Tomorrow. Well, that's going to be a song that we'll all be playing to the grandkids in future generations. You know, one that, you know, will go down in the history books. In terms of on the pitch, maybe not so much. He scored a couple of goals. He scored at White Hart Lane, didn't he? The new White Hart Lane. Probably not Premier League standard, though, unfortunately. I'm going to go and does a job. I mean, it's harsh on him. But he hasn't played enough football, and when he has done, I don't think he's necessarily... Actually, does he go in decent? It's pretty harsh to put Adam Eider above him. No, I'll leave him there and just, you know, hope that he doesn't watch the video and that you guys don't tell him about the video, because I'm sure he's a lovely chap, so I don't want to offend him. But, look, I don't think he's necessarily the player that we really needed. Anyway, that is my tier list. I'm relatively happy with that. I think I've been a bit harsh on some of the players. I think I've been a bit kind to some of the players. But the rules I'm going with here is as soon as they go in the category, they have to stay there. I can't make changes. So that's this season's team rated from icon to must improve. Let me know if you agree with any of them. I hope you've enjoyed this little two-part series on the channel. Something a bit different, something a bit light-hearted. Don't take it too seriously. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know if you have, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.